Hey, lovelies. I'm probably going to cough because I'm still sick. And I've been doing some Bible study and reading out in my hammock today. And I am continuing to process just a lot of the things that have been going on this last week and weekend, because I believe that it is vitally important for each of us to continue taking feedback and growing. It's hard. It's hard to do. It requires humility and willingness to look at things from other people's perspectives, and a very, very strong core, my friend. Great. It's starting to have issues with the internet. About a week ago, I had the privilege of joining my friend Lisa Sun, who is the CEO of Gravitas, a fantastic fashion company in New York City. And she was speaking to a couple of hundred women, by the way, gathering the energy to go to that and coming home. I could hardly move for 2 or 3 days afterward. But anyway, it was lovely to be there. And her keynote speech was all about the importance of taking criticism and critique, and I realize those aren't quite the same words, but critique as feedback instead of lashing out at it. I think each of us has lots of places to grow. I am not at all the same person I was 10 years ago, or 5, or 2. Our life experiences and our willingness to sit and listen to other people and hear their stories and show empathy and understand where others are coming from and how things may have seemed normal to us but have actually caused deep damage to others. All these things are crucial for anyone who wants to be authentic and grow. Now, some of you have already figured out that my thought process this morning is probably quite heavily sparked by the kerfuffle online with Gary Thomas. Gary Thomas and Deborah Fileta are releasing a new book and hosting a married sex conference. And there's been a lot of pushback on Gary's recent article, which promotes the story of someone as healthy who is very open about passing on the responsibility for porn recovery to wives. And that guy's name is JD. He runs an organization called Uncovering Intimacy, where they promote bondage and a number of things. There's some pretty horrifying stuff on that, like how much he absolutely hates his wife breastfeeding because it takes away his sex toys and uses them for the baby. That's just one of many, many, many disturbing things. And this is the story that Gary Thomas used to promote the illusion of healthy recovery from porn addiction. And the avenue to achieving that in this story, in Gary's article, was for the wife to stop saying no. Now, those of us in the betrayal trauma world and abuse recovery world know that these things are not true. This is not how it works. This does not indicate healthy recovery. And it's grossly misleading and an egregious misrepresentation of the character and heart of God. And it encourages a mindset of, like Andrew Bauman calls it, a pornified style of relating and a mindset of abuse. I think that some of the cognitive dissonance here is how many people, I know not all, but how many people have been profoundly blessed and respecting and admiring of Gary Thomas's past work. Now, I know that's not everybody, but the article Enough is Enough about no longer enabling abusive men and the book When to Walk Away have been profound blessings to many people. And for those of us, myself included, who have felt incredible respect for this high-profile author, the current situation comes with a lot of pain and a sense of betrayal. I've really appreciated the interaction on my page from my wild tribe, because I feel like the overwhelming majority has been very respectful dialogue, outrage and shock and horror at the content, but very respectful dialogue. And in today's culture, there are lots of times when people feel that if we are if we are addressing damaging content, that we must be trying to cancel the author of this content. I want to go on record that that is not the point here. I don't know if it's how I was wired or just the cumulative aggregate pile up of my life experiences, but I have a very, very hard time not addressing anything that I discover that is harmful and damaging, and where if my silence could contribute to the hurt of other people, then I would feel partially responsible for not speaking out. I know there's a lot of survivors in the advocacy community that have that same passion. And I think it's very important not to attack a human and an individual who's created in the image of God, but still to speak out strongly and firmly against damaging information. There is a great difference between vocally addressing damaging information and personally attacking another child of God. My internet keeps glitching. I want to make sure that the conversations on my page continue to stay in the tone of unashamedly addressing content without attacking individuals. I aim for that on my page, and I am not afraid to go up against damaging content. I don't care how popular the author is. I've had leading counselors and others tell me, you just can't keep taking on these iconoclastic efforts. Like, you gotta stop. These are really popular authors. They're like really well known. They author bestsellers. Okay, so I'm not a best-selling author. I mean, I'm an author, but I haven't sold millions and millions of copies of books. That's not my point. My point is, if we know that the truth about something is that it's causing damage and harm and misrepresenting the character of God, we have a moral obligation to not be silent. In whatever way is available to us to speak out about it, we are conscience bound to address those things and to do it in a way that represents Christ. We have an obligation for boldness. We have an obligation to not do what man has made popular, but to obey God. And I see angels saying here, the fact that they're popular is what's the problem. You have to take on the popular narrative that's been destroying people for years. I agree. We are up against Goliaths. Just huge organizations and publishing companies and well-known structures like Focus on the Family, who for decades have been perpetuating toxic, damaging, scientifically and biblically false information. Things that keep men and women and children trapped in danger. We must speak out about it. And we must also seek to reflect the character of Jesus as much as we can. And it's important for all of us to continue growing. I love how Sheila Gregoire has just owned that some of her stuff from years ago just doesn't fit with the science and what she's understood now, so she takes it down. She apologized for it. She takes books out of print. That's the honorable integrity thing to do. When we know better, we do better. And really, right now, with all of this, I don't want to attack Gary or Deborah or anyone else as humans, as children of God. I just want to call those with far bigger platforms than mine to truly listen, to hear, to observe, to reassess, and to take action. Because I would rather not just cancel people. I would rather see those with magnificent influence adjust, calibrate, humbly take feedback, and show integrity by being willing to change course. That's what I'm hoping for. And I want to invite all of you, because, you know, we have no shabby community here. Over 30,000 on just this Facebook page. I would invite all of you to join me in calling for that, in the heart and tone of Jesus, without being silenced or ashamed, to speak up. My angel just posted this. Thank you. Proverbs 31:8-9. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Ensure justice for those being crushed. Speak up for the poor and helpless and see they get justice. We have an epidemic of domestic violence, sexual coercion, and abuse in the faith communities. And for far too long, this has been endured, enabled, and reperpetrated by our most popular leaders, authors, bloggers, speakers. The time has come for that to change. Done. Full stop. Never again. And we can be the tsunami of voices that refuse to continue being served damaging information and insist on integrity from those who have widespread platforms and influence. We have the power of voice. Will you join me in kindly, honorably, firmly insisting that our popular faith organization leaders and writers do not have the freedom to operate without integrity, and that they face a calling from an unsilenceable wave of voices to do better? Will you join me? Will you speak out? Will you leave comments? Will you share posts? Will you ask questions? Don't attack. Don't belittle. Don't dehumanize. Don't devalue. Don't treat even those who are soundly in the wrong as less than others made in the image of God. Don't do back what others have done to you. But don't be silent. Call for change. Speak out for accountability, and let there be a tidal wave. And social media gives us the voice to do it. Let there be a tidal wave of requiring accountability. We can do it together.